If you are swaying your hips in the backswing, or maybe you're sliding in the downswing, not getting any hip rotation, that means that you're not using your legs and your hips correctly, and there's a really easy drill that's going to make this very simple for you. So one thing we have to understand is we need to use the ground correctly if we're going to use our legs and our hips correctly. And specifically, ground reaction forces. Now I know that sounds like a fancy scientific term, but really it's quite simple. All it really means is that you're pushing into the ground and the ground is pushing back up at you in an equal and opposite direction. So this drill is going to make it really simple to understand that. So grab a couple clubs, doesn't matter what clubs, and what I want you to do is I want you to get in your stance here and place a ball, directly in front of you. And that ball, if you're standing on top of a clock, that ball would be sitting at 12 o'clock on the clock. And you're going to place one club in front of your trail foot, pointed toward 1:30 on the clock, and you're going to take another club and place it in front of your lead foot, pointed toward 10:30 on the clock. And what I want you to imagine here, and again, remember, ground reaction forces are equal and opposite forces that the ground is exerting on you, right? So imagine I was trying to jump, right? I was squatting down, I'd be trying to put as much force into the ground as I possibly could, and then I would be pushing everything away and straightening my body out, trying to get everything away from the ground as much as I possibly could to be able to jump as high as I possibly could, right? So that's an equal and opposite force that the ground's putting on me straight back up in the air. Now I'm going to spare you from watching me jump. I probably have as much hops as Phil Mickelson, but that's an example of ground reaction force. So in the golf swing, we don't want to do exactly that. We don't want to push straight up, because if I do that, right, then my hip's just going to go up, right? And what I want my hip to do, I want my hip to go up and back, because that's going to allow the hip to rotate. So these clubs on the ground are going to be some imagery that's going to allow us to imagine, okay, I'm pushing away from the direction of that club in the backswing, and I'm pushing away from the direction of that club in the downswing, right? So get in your stance here, and just simply what I want you to do is, with your trail foot here, I want you to push into the ground and then take a step back directly away from that club, right? So if that club is going in a straight line, I'd be standing in a club, or in the line that the club is going through, okay? So push into the ground and push straight back. So that's the same kind of sensation that you're going to have in the backswing to rotate the hip back and away. Now in the downswing, same kind of thing. I want you to push into the ground and then push and take a step back directly away from that club. So if this was extended out, I'd be sitting, my foot would be directly on that line. All right, so do that a few times to kind of get the sensation of, okay, these are the kinds of forces that I want to be putting into the ground to be able to rotate my body like we see the tour players doing, because they're staying nice and centered. If I'm sliding my hips that way, then that means that the ground's actually exerting a force in this direction, right? That's making me go this way. And then if I'm sliding my hips that way, right, then I'm exerting a force into the ground in that direction, and the ground's exerting a force that's going in this direction. And we want it to be equal and opposite that way. That's what's going to allow us to turn our body and stay very centered like we see all the best players doing. So do that a few times as step backs to get a feeling for that. So now, once you have a good feeling for that, now let's get the club in the hands. And what I want you to do is I want you to have that same sensation, but now we're going to keep our feet on the ground and push in the ground and draw the hip back. So what's going to be happening there, and what you may feel on your feet, is almost like a shear force. So it's almost like if I'm standing here, my foot is pushing that way. So it's kind of sliding that way. Now it's not going to slide because you're going to be pushing into the ground, but that's the sensation that you want to have, and that's going to help you to draw that hip back. And when you do that, your ankle, your lower leg and your ankle, that's going to straighten out. Your knee is going to straighten out. It's going to lose flex, and then your hip is going to draw back. All right, so we want to get that feeling in the backswing, and then the downswing. Before I start my arms coming down, I want to apply that pressure here. Some might call this the Sneed squat, and that's exactly what they're doing. The Sneed, the Tiger squat. I've heard it called several things, but that's exactly what they're doing. They're applying more force in the ground. If you can kind of squat down, that helps you to apply force. You're going to jump a lot higher if you really squat down and jump back up than if you just squat a little bit and jump up, right? So that's exactly what's happening in the Tiger and Sneed squat. But the thing that a lot of people get wrong with that is they just do the squat part, right? So they're just pushing straight down the ground, and they kind of just jump straight up. Well, that doesn't help you rotate. That helps you jump the body up and early extend and flip the club through impact and add a lot of loft, and you may get a lot more speed from doing that, but that's not going to help you to get that good compression by getting shaft lean and by virtue of getting the body to rotate open. So to do the sneed squat, the tiger squat correctly, I have to flex down into the ground and then push with my lead leg. I need to push down and away toward that 10:30 position on the clock to be able to get the body to rotate open, right? So again, the same thing with the lead leg. I want to feel like I'm going like that, right? A lot of times you'll see very, very powerful players. So players like Justin Thomas, for example, right? Justin Thomas, you'll often see when he really tries to get into one, like a drive, you'll see his foot will kind of go like that because he's pushing so hard into the ground and down and out away from him that his body rotates and his body torques open so quickly and with so much force that he actually becomes airborne and he moves this way, right? If he was going straight up, then his foot wouldn't go backwards. It would just go up like that. But what he's actually doing, his foot actually goes that way, right? If you watch them very closely. And if you look at a lot of long drive guys, same kind of thing. Now, I'm not saying you need to be trying to go out there and really push into the ground. Start with going about it in this way, but when you get the feel for it, you can kind of work toward creating a lot of power like they do. That's more of an advanced level, but you can work toward creating power like that and a lot of power like those guys are doing. So push into the ground, squat down to the ground, draw the hip back, and then squat down in the ground, push down in the ground, draw the hip back by pushing down and out away from you toward that 10:30 to rotate the body open. So do that a couple times where you go up to the top, pause, push into the ground, turn the hip away, and go through. Do a few of those, push back, pressure, push through. So remember, we want to get that pressure into the ground with the lead foot before the arms start down. That's really, really important because otherwise the downswing is going to start with the arms, right? And you're not going to be able to get that rotation from the body opening if you're starting the downswing with all arms. So make sure you're getting that pressure into the ground with the lead foot first. So now that you got a feeling with the pauses, now I want you to add some flow to it. So put the club in front, apply the pressure into the trail foot, push away from that club on the ground to draw the hip back, and then do the same thing on the lead leg, push down in the ground. So this is going to look something like this. Push back away, 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 push back away. And you can see I'm not sliding my hips away from the target and way too much toward the target. My hips aren't getting outside of my ankles, right? Now there is some lateral movement in the swing. We're not staying dead centered the entire time. If you look at tour player swings, you're going to see there is some lateral movement forward typically, but we push into the ground, draw the hip this way, the hips move forward a little bit, and then we push into the ground and push the hips that way, right? That's what we want to do to be able to use the ground correctly and use the legs in the hips correctly. So this is really the first step to what we call the power turn in the top speed golf system, right? So it starts with the ground and the feet, and then we use the legs properly, and then we get the hips turning properly, and then eventually we want to get the shoulders turning properly. And I see a lot of people doing things to get speed, but I see a lot of people missing out on that low-hanging fruit. They're doing kind of more of the advanced stuff to get speed, stuff that they see tour players doing. See, tour players are already doing this in their swing. They're already getting a pretty good shoulder turn. Most of them are. Now, some of them, like John Rahm, for example, not getting a huge turn. But hey, if you can swing 115 miles per hour with a shorter swing like he does, then more power to you. But if you're swinging 90 miles per hour, 80 miles per hour, and you're not getting as much turn as you can, you're really leaving a lot of yards out on the table, and you'd be much better served working on getting a good hip turn and a shoulder turn to be able to create more space and time to accelerate the club and get way more distance. Because I'm telling you, it's so much easier to play golf when you hit the ball farther. A lot easier. So the next step to this is to get the shoulder turn along with the hip turn, and this is what we call the power turn at Top Speed Golf. So I have a great bonus video where Clay Ballard, the founder of Top Speed Golf, he's the one who created the Top Speed Golf system. He's going to show you a really great drill for how to get the shoulders to work properly as well in the power turn. So if you want to see that whole video, all you have to do is click the iCard that's going to appear in the corner of the screen. Or if you don't see the iCard, no worries. You can click the link in the description below. I'm gonna play a preview of that video here in just a second, but if you wanna see the whole video, click that iCard or the link in the description. Play well, and I'll talk to you soon.
Most of the instruction out there today is killing you of your power. The things that they're telling you to do can make you hit it shorter, and worse than that, not even any more consistent. I'm gonna go over some of the real secrets to powerful, consistent golf in this video. Let's go and get started. So here's some of the keys into making that happen. If you wanna incorporate this in your swing, let me break it down exactly what you should do. Number one, let's focus on the belt buckle. This is another big misconception. I want to keep that belt buckle facing the ball so I can really stretch out my midsection and really get loaded up. I'm not a big fan of that. That's really going to kill your distance. In your backswing, I want to feel like that belt buckle rotates to the right and you really let your hips and legs be loose. Notice how my legs are moving here. I'm not trying to keep those rigid and tight, or I'm really just taking all the speed out of my swing. All right, so on that one, I really felt like I let my belt buckle rotate back. And a good key to this is feel like your knees are loose. Feel like when you make your backswing. Piece number two, let's go ahead and rotate our shoulders. When I let my lower body rotate, my upper body can rotate a lot better also. So if I let my hips move, my shoulders will move more. So here, once I've got my hips working well, I'm gonna add to that my shoulders making a big rotation. On average, on the PGA Tour, players are getting about 120 degrees of shoulder rotation. I don't see hardly anybody getting less than 90 degrees. So it starts with the hips, knees nice and loose, allow the belt buckle to rotate, and then from there, so those are two really big keys. But here's the truth. There's one thing, and if you don't do this correctly, nothing else is gonna work.